So this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk deeper about Dungeons and Dragons and the 2020 Winter D&D Firestorm. I don't want to forget this moment. This is pretty incredible. I've never seen an uproar of old men who do not season their food and put mayonnaise in their casserole, just shouting at the sky that Hasbro is wrong about everything. This is a very real thing, and I don't want to be forgotten. I want there to be history right here on my channel to remember the D&D, the 2022 D&D Winter Firestorm, right? And OGGM, like, he opens half of his videos with, oh, somebody's upset with, Hasbro again. They did something wrong again. And the reality is there's always a little bit of fire sparks and embers in the air about Hasbro. But right now, it really, I've never seen anything like this. It is just, people are furious, right? Cynthia Williams saying D&D is under monetized. A lot of people saying, I'm not even saying it's true, just a lot of people saying the OGL would die, right? And then one D&D really getting legs under it and saying Dungeons & Dragons is going to change, right? And we're really going to make it physical and digital, and that's just upsetting a ton of old men who do not season their food and put mayonnaise in their casserole, right? And people who have that old man who does not season his food and puts mayonnaise in his casserole energy, okay? Now, believe it or not, I think this all got kicked off by Ben from Questing Beasts video, link below, and he said this is all about expectations, right? Like, if you are a D&D 5e dungeon master, you are expected to know the rules extremely well, to be an epic storyteller, and to serve as life coach. And he's saying that's the expectation, right? He's not saying that's what should happen. He's saying that's the expectation. He's 100% correct, right? And if you think he's wrong, I got another video below saying the same thing, right? It's Dave Thaumavore. He's got a fantastic channel. Brilliant dude. I watch every video he makes. He does the best tabletop role-playing game reviews that have ever existed in the history of the earth. He is so good at it, right? Like, if your game has been reviewed by Dave Thaumavore, man, collect your trophy. You made it, right? He's amazing, right? Now, he's 100% wrong, but he just did a video, right? And he's like, here's why you should quit 5e now, right? And he said D&D is a pain, like, these is right from the video, you can see in the video below. D&D is a pain in the butt to run because of expectations. And so he's coming and he's going, rubber stamp, I agree with what Ben's saying. And they're right. This is all about expectations. And where we land at the end of 2022 is that if you are a dungeon master who runs headlong into the fray and you are cool and awesome and courageous, expectations don't scare you. And if you are a dungeon master who's like, I don't want that weight on my shoulder, I don't want that heavy gold crown on my head, and you do not want to meet expectations at your table, and you want a table that puts no expectations on you other than rolling on a random encounters table, then the OSR is your home. And that's where we land, right? If you're a courageous dungeon master, you belong in D&D 5e. And if you are a dungeon master who just cannot bear weight on your shoulders, you belong in the OSR. That's it. And I didn't think we'd end 2022 finding that out. And by the way, this is nicer, Scott Garibay, being less insulting, because on it, I'm not trying to say that to make fun of the OSR dungeon masters, but now that we understand them, and we can at least pity them, right? And then also, do what each one of us can to move them into a place of courage, right? And encourage them to understand that they can meet the expectations that are put upon them, right? Yeah. So, and but here's the kicker of this video, all right? What really goes even further, right, is in Dave Thaumavore puts a point down here that I want to say is 100% wrong and counter, right? And he's like, there's this myth of growth, right? That we need growth, right? And what he's saying is he's saying, I've reviewed 100 OSR games. They're all amazing. and they're all better tabletop role-playing games than Dungeons and Dragons, right? But none of them hit. None of them outdo Dungeons and Dragons. None of them outsell Dungeons and Dragons. So what I want to do is I want to invite you to the suck, right? Could you please come over here and just like, I'm trying to be nice. And I'm going to invite you to, I can't, right? I'm sorry. He's inviting people to suck like OSR. It's just, OSR's numbers suck. They just don't sell anything, right? And I have a back and forth. You can go check my Twitter stream. I got a back and forth right now with a dude who's like, I make my living doing D&D, and I hate D&D, and I really need to figure out what I'm gonna do, and I'm vexed, and he's vexed because he knows the second he he's eating steak right now. If he tries to do what he's doing off of D&D, he's eating ramen or he's starving, right? And so Dave Thaumavore is like, could you guys please just, and it's the same thing. He's like, could you just like be okay with our lesser versions, right? Like, could you be okay with things that don't carry the that are just less, that sell less, that have less art, that have worse layout, that have worse writing? Could you guys just do with less the way we do with less in OSR? And he's just again saying, could you guys maybe just come over and look at our stuff? It's not going to grow. It's not going to ever sell, right? But could you just like release your expectations and just be happy with suck the way we are in OSR? It's like, it's all over. And this is where we're at, right? The OSR is for people who have dropped their expectations. And I understand it. The whole world is doing this now, right? They're like, hey, do I go for that gold crown? Or do I just drop it and maybe I don't get married and I have kids with somebody? I don't know, and the kid doesn't have a father, or like there's a million things where people are like, there used to be this expectation, but do we need it? And I'm kind of like, yeah, we've run this experiment, right? It's not better, and that's the issue. Is the OSR is just not better, and I get it. I'm trying to be nice, but it's hard for me to look at what's happening and not now clearly see that the OSR is just begging people to embrace suck the way they do, right? That's my take, right? And I know that's not super nice. That is toned down for me. And it's a little bit less name-cally, right? And the other thing is, Dave Thaumavore, and that's the issue, right? Dave Thaumavore is an epic human being. His stuff is amazing, right? I'm not calling him out personally for having this opinion. I am calling him out for being a member of the OSR who's saying quit 5e now, right? I'm calling him out for his group activity, not for him being a terrible person or, me saying some terrible thing about him. And that's another thing. A lot of people have been calling me out on this. I rolled hard against groups, right? If there's a group doing a thing that's bad, I'm going to go against that group, right? But the difference is I'm not going to go against a single person and say this person's bad because they have this opinion. And people do that to me, right? And so just want to get it out there. So one, I'm sorry for continuing to cover this, but I'm covering it legitimately from the perspective of this. I do think this ain't your normal frou-for-all. Like, this is really something special, right? And it's a moment in time that we need to record, and I am literally recording it. All that's my humble opinion. I'm ready to hear yours. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.